Hello, I'm Dr. Paula Webb, and I'm an Associate Professor of Nursing and former Chief Nursing Officer. How many times during the course of growing up did we hear our mothers say, "You're judged by how you look, how you act, and the people you associate with"? If you were like me, you thought, "Yeah, right, what does she know?" As a past CNO and now an Associate Professor, I can tell you that never have these things been more important to nurse leaders than now. Many of the concepts related to nursing etiquette that I will share can be found in a wonderful, easy-to-read book by Kathleen Pagana entitled The Nurse's Etiquette Advantage: How Professional Etiquette Can Advance Your Nursing Career. In the short time that I have with you, I would like to share a few key concepts related to nursing etiquette. One important skill is the act of introductions. Who would know that there's a pecking order for introductions? There is. The highest ranking person in the introduction should be mentioned first, followed by the name of the other person being introduced. Another key component is to provide the highest ranking person a tidbit about the other person to give them a heads up of something to discuss with that person. Whether it's a mutual interest in a sport, grandchildren, or a hobby, the awkwardness can be reduced by giving both parties something to discuss. Etiquette while networking is another key component of leadership. Making small talk, working the room, being respectful of all status and rank of the persons in the room, and name tag placement are important pieces. Wearing your name tag on the right side of your chest will enable the person shaking your hand to see your name without having to search for your name tag. Appearance is always important. Dress for the job you aspire to have, not the one you currently have. If you're applying for a nursing director position, don't go to the interview in scrubs. Your chief nursing officer or chief executive officer recognize that you have nursing skills. They need to see your leadership capabilities. Clean, well-fitting, appropriate attire will make an initial and lasting impression. Let's talk a minute about meetings. Nursing leaders spend at least half of their day, every day, in meetings. Where to sit, whether you're the meeting facilitator or the participant, is very important. If you're the facilitator of the meeting, there are important elements of your work there. Number one, only meet if you have a purpose, a goal, and an outcome for the meeting. Number two, start and stop the meeting on time. Be respectful of the ones that arrived on time and their need to move to their next task. Number three, pick your seating placement carefully, at the head of the table and furthest from the door. And finally, summarize the meeting to be sure participants are aware of their assignments before they leave the room. As a participant at a meeting, arrive on time, not too early, since the chairperson may be finishing up important pieces of the agenda, and definitely not late. Actively participate in the meeting and choose your seat carefully as well. Not the seat to the immediate right of the chairperson. This is reserved for their assistant or next in line of importance, and not to the immediate left, as this is reserved for the second in command. And always be clear of your responsibilities, the things that you are accountable for after you leave the meeting. Finally, let's talk a minute about dining etiquette. Most of us have been to formal dinners and had at least one person, or maybe even ourselves, ask which bread plate or which glass is theirs. Your superiors are always watching you, and that includes formal dining. A couple of salient points to remember include the use of the acronym BMW. That stands for bread, meat, and water. Bread is always on your left, water is always on your right. So BMW is a good way to remember that. Use your utensils from the outside in. Always pass food or any other items to the right. Always pass the salt and pepper together. Place your napkin in your chair if you need to excuse yourself during the meal. And absolutely no cell phones on the table. As you can tell, I could go on, but time is limited, so familiarize yourself with concepts to make a great impression. Johann von Goethe stated, "A man's manners are a mirror in which he shows his portrait." Be sure your portrait is one that provides a positive impression and others feel comfortable observing.